just get into this. What is wrong? Of course, the one moment that I get a toddler-free hour, he's grumpy. But anyway, hi everybody, it is awesome to be back. I have not done a video for you guys in so long, but I wanted to get on and talk about something which is really, really dear to my heart. I'm really, really passionate about, and I recently experienced. So this little guy is 7 weeks tomorrow. So 7 weeks ago I had a free birth, which if you don't know what that means, it's an unassisted birth at home. So I actually had a free birth after cesarean, because with Edith, my first, I had a cesarean section due to a breech position. This is a Q&A video. I asked my followers on Instagram if they had any questions relating to birth in general, free birthing and home birthing. So let's get into it. Hopefully this little guy stays happy for more than like 5 minutes. So I've had quite a few questions, surprisingly. The first question is, did you poop? Now, I feel like if any birthing woman is watching this, then they would probably go, of course she pooped, because that's just what happens. As the baby is coming out, it's putting lots of pressure on that, that area. So if there's anything in there, it is going to come out. That's also making space for the baby to be able to come out comfortably. So birth does involve a lot of poop. That's the answer to that question. So yes, I did poop. And yes, my partner wiped it up so that I had a little bit of dignity left after that. How much research did you do whilst preparing? So we did do quite a bit of research. Some people don't do much at all. We did quite a bit, but not as much as others. So that was mainly just because I had already had a baby, but I'd never actually given birth. So I didn't know how labour was going to be. So we did quite a bit of research on that. But at the same time, I think that that's really important for women to, and their partners, to understand the different stages of labour, how women's bodies work, because it makes so much sense. Like, my partner was researching into things and going, wow, it makes so much sense that you would give birth at home this way because you're made to do this. And that is what you find out when you're mainly researching. We did a lot of research on the placenta as well, and the whole postpartum hemorrhaging, just because we weren't sure what to do in that scenario. And we'd also read and had with us the emergency childbirth handbook, which is written by a doctor, and it basically goes through a heap of different scenarios and what you would do in that instance. So we just researched the basic things that could have gone wrong, which would have been, our main concerns were hemorrhaging, uterine rupture, which we were not really concerned about, but most people are, especially with C-sections. We were not concerned about that at all, purely because I knew in myself that everything would be fine, and I was fine. And then of course we researched like if the baby's not breathing, but upon finding and searching and all that, we found out the magic of the placenta and how it is actually a resuscitation unit. So that put our mind at ease completely, because the baby would still be getting oxygen, and it would give us enough time to sort of do the little things that we needed and call an ambulance if need be. But again, these things are really, really rare. There's more of a chance of something happening in hospital purely because of the stress of the mother or the stress of the baby, medical intervention, which causes those things. So that was sort of our main preparing, I think. Any fears? So this one is kind of hard, because I think no matter what, whether it's your first baby or your 5th baby, there will always be little bits of fears, but I wasn't really fearful about the birth. I was so excited about it. I was more fearful of if I had to be transferred to hospital. So I wasn't worried about anything going wrong. I was more worried about if I had to go to hospital. I had no fears about the birth. I had no fears about pain, which is a really, really common thing. People are really fearful of the pain. I also got asked, how does it work with getting a birth certificate when you have a home birth? So with home births, generally there is a midwife present and they complete the paperwork. As we transferred to hospital after, the nurses and midwives there completed the paperwork for us, so that's how all that paperwork was there. It was just the proof of birth we got from them. But generally with free births, it depends on the different states, I believe. But here for Victoria, you just have to get a stat dec from, I think, maybe 1 or 2 people just saying that they saw that you were pregnant, and then the people present for birth become witnesses, so that can be your partner. They would just provide that in a stat dec. If we hadn't have transferred to hospital, as I'd seen a midwife 3 times during my pregnancy, and we had got a scan to check the placenta position, that was then enough proof that I had been pregnant. So no matter what, little things like that kind of get put on a record, and then there's that proof that you were pregnant and that you've had your baby. Hope that answers your question. What was it like anticipating your free birth as opposed to a planned C-section? Okay, so with my planned C-section, that was the worst experience of my life. The end of my pregnancy there, and the anticipation of that was absolutely horrible. I had been so pumped for a natural birth, and that just did not happen that time. So the end of my pregnancy there, I did not want to meet my baby. I hated myself, I hated my body, I hated everyone around me. I was basically in a really, really depressed state, and yeah, I did not want to experience any of that. Whereas this time I was so pumped to the point where I was like, oh my god, I see why people get induced. I just want this to happen already. But it wasn't because I, was desperate because I was in pain or anything. It was because I really, really wanted to experience labor. I was so pumped and so excited and really, really determined for it to happen because of what happened the first time. So yeah, completely different feelings and situations, and yeah, like even the thought of potentially having another baby now, I'm like so excited about getting to experience birth and all those incredible sensations and experiences that happen in that birth time. I really, really like the spiritual aspect of birth, and it is an incredibly vulnerable and amazing journey where you are literally between like 2 different universes, really. And I think that only people who experience a natural, spontaneous birth get to experience that incredible like place that so many people miss out on seeing.